Hello and welcome back to the Small Print Podcast. I am your host Elise and I blog at roulettereader.wordpress.com.
And I'm Dawn and I blog at bangbangbookblog.com.
And today, since it is October and we're approaching Halloween, we are going to talk about our top 3 favorite villains. We're each going to do 3. Let's get started.
Alright. So my top one is the Commandant from The Ember and Ashes and Torch Against the Night, because that woman is horrible and she doesn't apologize for it. I don't want to give any spoilers, but Elias is her son and she treats him just as bad as she treats everybody else. And I like that she is not redeemable.
Mm-hmm.
She is kind of, because we learned some things about her past and we kind of feel sorry for her a little bit, but she makes it really difficult for you to like her, and I like that. If you're going to have a villain, have a villain. You know, if they're not going to be redeemable, go for it. And so I love to hate her, as they say.
Indeed.
Yeah.
My top villain is along those lines. It's Queen Maeve from the Throne of Glass series. We kind of really only see her in books 3 through the current 5th book, so I won't give away too many spoilers as well in case you have not gotten to the current book yet. But she is also very evil. She has centuries of time to perfect her evilship. And she has done just that.
Yeah.
She's got this group of guys, of elves, Lord of the Rings, Fae, that fight for her and basically do her bidding. They're like her elite, best of the best. And she uses them to every extent of that word. Doesn't care for them at all. She leads by fear, not by love, obviously, because she's a villain. But half of these guys are like in love with her. Half of them just are there because of some other ulterior motive, and it gets really sick and twisted, and it's bad.
Yeah.
It's rough. And there's some stuff that goes down at the end of Empire of Storms that I could not handle. It was intense.
Yeah, I like Maeve. She's a good time.
She's a bad bitch.
Way. Yeah. My next one is, I think it's Violet. I think that's her name. From The Walls Around Us by Nova Rensuma. I think that's right. This is a magical realism book, so if you like that type of genre, it was underrated last year. Not a lot of people read it. It was probably on the short list for the Prince Award. It's one of those thinker books. But this girl, Violet, she's kind of the quintessential mean girl, but not in the tropey way that we are used to. So she's a ballerina, and she takes it very seriously. She doesn't date. She doesn't go out with friends. All she does is ballet because that's her dream. And in comes this new girl, and Violet is wealthy, she's privileged, she works really hard, she's got a great work ethic. In comes this new girl who is brown, she's poor, and she's naturally talented. So she becomes a rival for Violet. And so they become best friends, but at the same time, she's trying to bring her down. And so the way she does it is pretty terrible. This girl is horrible. So I can't say too much, so I want to spoil it, but it's a very good book. I highly recommend it, and Violet is a very good villain. She's pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That made me want to read the book now. My second villain is Piper from the Raven Boys series. Again, when do we see her? Lily Blue?
Yeah.
Okay, she comes in book 3, and she's there until the end of the series. Oh, she is... I can never remember the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath, but she is one of them, if not both of them. She, at one point, doesn't she, like, injure herself and just doesn't give a crap? And, like, I don't know, she is crazy. You're like, this woman doesn't feel pain. She does not have emotion. The scenes with her and her husband were some of my favorites in the 3rd book of that series, because they're just, like, another level of evil and crazy and self-serving. And she really takes things to a level in the last book. All for just nothing. Just because she frickin' can. And I was like, wow.
I enjoy Piper a lot because, once again, she could have been this vapid, mean girl, but she has so much depth to her, and she was really funny.
Yeah, she was
Like,
very funny.
the way she talked to people, calling them, I don't know, some of the words she was calling them, but it was just like, come on, stupid, or something. It was hilarious.
Yes, that was one of the best
Piper
parts
a lot.
of the third book, for sure. Yeah, we learn a lot about her in the last book, and you're kind of like, what? We find out, like, some family relationships that she has, and you're like, okay, no wonder you're like this. So yeah, that's my second.
Okay. And my last one is Adelina from the Young Elite series. And in this book, she is her own villain, so she's the good guy and the bad guy. And now I'm now reading the third book, Midnight Star. And the end of the second book, you're like, oh man, how is Lou going to do this character? Because she's a sympathetic character. You know what she's been through from the first book, and now she's totally an evil queen in the third book. So she kind of has to find that balance. But what I like about her is you understand why she's horrible, but at the same time, you're like, oh, that's really bad. So her people have been persecuted, and now she's the queen, and she is like persecuting all the persecutors. And so you're like, well, they deserved it because they starved these people, they beat them, they killed them, they burned them, they hung them, and now she's doing it to them. But it's like, but is that human? Like, yeah, they were bad, but being bad to them doesn't necessarily solve your problem. Yet I understand why. So you're kind of like on that fine line of like, ooh, I'm a horrible person because I want her to hang people, but they kind of deserve it. So I think she's a pretty good villain. You sympathize with her. At the same time, she's horrible. She's not a very nice person. So good job for Lou to make her protagonist also the supervillain.
The villain, indeed. I love when that happens. My last one is the Commissar from the Kiss of Deception series. What to say about the Commissar? When I first was introduced to him in book 2, I was kind of like into it. I was like, all right, I like this guy. He's dark. He's got reasons for why he does what he does. And sometimes it works when, like with Piper, she was a villain who just did this stuff because she was bored and wanted a thrill. Whereas the Commissar has been raised in extreme poverty, extreme pain. He's seen his people suffer time and again at the hands of other countries and royalty, and he's angry. He is very angry, and he is obsessed with the fact that he hasn't had control in his life up until the point he became Commissar. And even as Commissar, he struggles to maintain control, especially once Leah kind of comes on the scene. So I like him because he is very well fleshed out, and you can understand his choices, and you're kind of like, wow, he has seen stuff to do the things that he's able to do. Like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't read the book, but he ends up killing a character that a normal person would never have done, and he's just another level of, he's just had to shut that humanity off in himself to survive, and you can understand him. But at the same time, he's a very good villain.
Yeah, he's
very convincing.
Quite the manipulator.
Yes,
as well.
Yeah, he is very intelligent. Should we do a bonus round?
I didn't have anything written for a bonus round.
I'm sorry, I kind of sprung that on you.
Well, if you have somebody go, let me think.
Well, I guess my bonus round villain would be the villain from Blood for Blood, which is book 2 in Wolf by Wolf's duology. His title is really long, so I'm sorry if I butcher this, but it's SS Standartenführer Bosch. Ooh. But anyway, there's some torture scenes in the beginning of the first book that are, usually I'm okay reading that kind of stuff, but even that was like, I'm just gonna fast forward this a little bit, because he's got like bones that he crushes, and he stomps on hands, and doesn't he like pistol whip and like threatens to shoot? It doesn't sound that intense, but she's a very intelligent, good writer, and it came off the page, literally. Mm-hmm. And what is your bonus round?
I think I'm gonna go with, what's his name? Dent. is it Billy Dent? It's from the I Hunt Killers series. It's the father of the main character. He's in prison he's a serial killer, but he started to teach Jazz how to be a serial killer when he was a child. So this man is crazy, and by the third book, I don't know what Barry Lyga, the author, I don't know what kind of research this man did, but that man was crazy. Like, I have this kind of weird fascination with serial killers anyway, and so I think he was pretty spot on with this man's manipulation and his scare tactics, and he was a pretty rough character. So if you're into that, I would highly recommend I Hunt Killers. There are several characters, villains it was kind of like the Commandant, where they were not quite as horrible as they could have been. I just wanted the author to
take it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't.
I like it when they make the villain just as compelling or interesting to read about as the main character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not just there for the main character. We do want to get that multifaceted side of the story.
You know who we forgot? The Darkling.
Oh, dude. What?
How do we forget the Darkling?
I don't know. It's been a while since I read that series. Yeah, that's a good example.
I really like the Darkling.
Well, props to the Darkling.
Yeah.
He's a good villain, too.
He was a good villain.
I was going to pick one from Six of Crows, but I didn't really feel like... I mean... Like, Per Haskell or Pekka Rollins was pretty intense, but it happens off the page, so it's not quite as in your face as some of these other villains. But
I thought Van Eyck was pretty bad.
Yeah,
once you got
that's
to
true.
learn about him in Crooked Kingdom,
yeah,
he was not a good dude.
No,
at all.
Very, very cut off from humanity and human emotion, which is frightening. Yeah. All right. Well. That is it for our favorite villains. Do we know what we're podcasting next time?
No.
Kira's like, nope.
No. No.
Okay. Well, join us next time for the Small Print Podcast.
We'll catch you on the flip side.